When he tried to get into Lotus position, Mr. Bean had never imagined that his legs could become this tangled. His visit to Zen Harmony Yoga Studio had begun as an attempt to address the mounting stress in his life through what his doctor had described as mindful movement and meditation practices. Bean approached the serene studio building with characteristic curiosity, noting the peaceful bamboo plants flanking the entrance, soft chimes that created gentle melodies, and inspirational quotes about inner peace displayed on natural wood signs throughout the welcoming space. The Zen Harmony Yoga Studio occupied a converted warehouse space thoughtfully transformed into a sanctuary of calm, featuring polished hardwood floors, floor-to-ceiling windows that allowed natural light to flood the interior, and carefully selected decorative elements reflecting Eastern philosophical traditions. Sarah Williams, the studio's lead instructor, who had been teaching yoga for over 12 years, immediately recognized Bean's obvious nervousness and unfamiliarity with yoga protocols. She approached with the warm, centered demeanor that experienced yoga teachers cultivated through years of practice. "Welcome to Zen Harmony," Sarah said with genuine warmth, and a voice that carried the measured cadence yoga instructors developed through consistent meditation practice. "Is this your first time joining us? I'd be happy to help you get oriented and make sure you feel completely comfortable." Bean nodded enthusiastically while examining the studio's peaceful atmosphere, noting the soft ambient lighting, subtle scent of sandalwood incense, and collection of colorful yoga mats, blocks and straps neatly arranged around the spacious practice room. "Today we're focusing on Hatha Yoga, which is perfect for beginners," Sarah explained helpfully, guiding Bean toward yoga mats. This style emphasizes basic postures, breathing techniques, and gentle movements that help build flexibility and mindfulness without being overly challenging. Bean selected a purple yoga mat and followed Sarah's demonstration of proper mat placement, though his understanding of optimal spacing proved somewhat different from the systematic grid pattern that other students had established through experience with group yoga etiquette. The other students included Margaret Chen, a retired librarian who had been practicing yoga for 5 years, James Morrison, a software engineer who used yoga to manage work stress, Emily Patterson, a college student who appreciated yoga's mental health benefits, and Robert Davies, a retiree exploring yoga for flexibility and balance. "Let's begin by finding comfortable seated positions," Sarah instructed as she moved to the front and settled into a perfect cross-legged pose. "Close your eyes if comfortable, and let's start with basic breathing exercises to center ourselves and prepare for practice." Bean attempted to replicate Sarah's elegant seated position, though his limited flexibility and unfamiliarity with proper alignment created immediate challenges when he tried to cross his legs in traditional meditation pose while maintaining upright, comfortable posture. "Let's focus on deep, rhythmic breathing," Sarah continued. "Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for a moment, then exhale for 6 counts. This pranayama technique helps activate your parasympathetic nervous system and promotes calm awareness." Bean concentrated intensely on following Sarah's breathing instructions, though his tendency toward overthinking transformed the simple pattern into a complex mental exercise that required more conscious effort than other students seemed to invest. "Now let's move into gentle warm-up movements," Sarah announced, transitioning gracefully to hands and knees. "We'll start with cat-cow pose, which helps mobilize the spine and prepare our bodies for more challenging postures." Bean watched Sarah's fluid demonstration of the undulating spinal movement, then attempted to replicate the coordinated breathing and movement pattern while maintaining proper alignment, though his interpretation created a more dramatic version than demonstrated. "Beautiful work, everyone," Sarah encouraged. "Now let's move into downward facing dog, one of yoga's most foundational poses. Start in tabletop position, tuck your toes under, and slowly lift your hips up and back, creating an inverted V shape." Bean approached downward dog with determined concentration, following Sarah's instructions while trying to understand the relationship between hand placement, foot position, and proper weight distribution, though his initial attempt resulted in somewhat unstable structure. His intense focus on achieving proper form caused him to shift weight in ways that moved his mat closer to Emily's space, and his determination to maintain the pose longer than his flexibility allowed resulted in gradually increasing arm trembling. "Oh, my goodness, are you all right?" Emily whispered with genuine concern, while helping Bean untangle himself from her yoga props. That pose can be really challenging when starting out. I had similar experiences during my first few classes. Bean felt embarrassed about disrupting Emily's practice, but her understanding and encouraging smiles from other students helped maintain his confidence about continuing despite his obvious beginner status. "Let's move into mountain pose," Sarah announced. "Stand tall at the top of your mat, feet hip-width apart, arms at your sides. This pose is about finding strength, stability, and presence." Bean appreciated the apparent simplicity after previous challenges, though he discovered that maintaining perfect stillness while cultivating inner awareness required different concentration than anticipated. His natural fidgeting created subtle movement that contrasted with other students' stillness. "From mountain pose, we'll move into Warrior One," Sarah instructed, demonstrating the transition involving stepping one foot back into lunge position, while raising both arms overhead. "This pose builds leg strength while opening your chest and shoulders." Bean watched Sarah's demonstration and attempted to replicate warrior pose, though his interpretation created a more dramatic version than the classical form, with wider foot placement and more enthusiastic arm gestures than traditional yoga emphasized. "Now we'll transition to Warrior Two," Sarah continued, demonstrating the rotation that opened hips while extending arms parallel to the floor. Turn your back foot parallel to the back of your mat and reach your arms out to create expansion. Bean's attempt to transition involved a complex series of movements as he worked to understand proper positioning, though his enthusiastic approach resulted in facing the wrong direction compared to the rest of the class. "Let's take a moment for seated forward fold," Sarah announced as she guided the class back to the floor. "Sit with legs extended and slowly hinge forward from your hips, reaching toward your toes while keeping your spine long." Bean approached forward. Fold with determination to achieve maximum flexibility, though his limited hamstring mobility and enthusiastic effort resulted in more spine rounding than the hip hinge movement Sarah was encouraging. "Now we'll prepare for Lotus pose," Sarah announced, settling into the classic crossed leg position with apparent ease. This traditional meditation posture helps create stable foundation for breathing practices, though it requires significant hip flexibility. Bean observed Sarah's perfect lotus position and attempted to replicate the intricate leg positioning, though his limited hip mobility and determination to achieve the full pose resulted in a complex tangle of limbs. If lotus pose isn't accessible today, you can sit cross-legged or even in a chair, Sarah offered diplomatically, recognizing Bean's struggle while maintaining the supportive approach experienced yoga teachers used. Bean appreciated modification suggestions, but remained determined to achieve full lotus position, continuing his efforts despite obvious physical limitations and increasing complexity of his current position. "Let's move into our final relaxation," Sarah announced, guiding the class towards Savasana. "Lie down on your backs, let your feet fall apart naturally, and allow your arms to rest comfortably. This is your time to completely surrender and integrate the benefits of our practice." Bean followed instructions for relaxation pose, grateful for the opportunity to lie down after challenging sequences, though his interpretation of complete relaxation resulted in some audible settling sounds and occasional adjustments as he searched for optimal comfort. The guided relaxation included gentle suggestions about releasing tension, cultivating gratitude for body capabilities, and developing present, moment awareness through mindful attention to breath and sensation. Bean found this portion unexpectedly enjoyable and accessible compared to physical challenges. "Slowly begin to deepen your breathing," Sarah instructed as she guided the class back to awareness. "Gently wiggle your fingers and toes, and when ready, roll to your right side and slowly press yourself up to seated position." Bean emerged from Savasana feeling genuinely refreshed and more relaxed than he had in weeks, despite various challenges during active portions, and his obvious satisfaction was evident in his peaceful expression and slower movements. "Thank you all for sharing your practice with me today," Sarah said as the class gathered props. "Remember that yoga is a journey, not a destination, and every practice is an opportunity to learn something new about yourself." Bean approached Sarah after class to express gratitude for her patience and guidance, and his obvious appreciation was evident in enthusiastic gestures and satisfied demeanor, despite various mishaps that had occurred. "You did wonderfully today," Sarah assured Bean warmly. "I can see that you have natural curiosity about the practice, and I think you'd really benefit from individual instruction to help you build a strong foundation." Bean accepted Sarah's suggestion about private lessons with obvious enthusiasm, recognizing that additional guidance would help him develop skills necessary to participate more effectively while avoiding coordination challenges he had experienced. As Bean prepared to leave Zen Harmony Yoga Studio, he reflected on unexpected insights about the relationship between physical movement, breathing awareness, and mental relaxation, despite the obvious gap between his current abilities and the graceful competence demonstrated by others. Bean departed feeling truly inspired by his introduction to yoga practice, confident that future classes would help him develop skills that made yoga valuable for managing stress in life